We are living in 2023. But the story I'm about to tell you happened 22 years ago. Remember the year 2001 when the Xbox gaming console was all the rage? It was a groundbreaking era for sure. During this time, one hacker became a threat to Microsoft, who owns the Xbox. And this hacker managed to pull off something revolutionary with the first generation Xbox, which made things controversial between Microsoft, the hacker, and Xbox users at the time. I'm Rushen, and you are listening to Root Hack. This is the story of a hacker named Andrew, famously known as Bunny. Let's dive in.
Received at 7:44 p.m.
Andrew, my name is John Thomason with the Microsoft Xbox Group. I'd like to chat with you a little bit concerning the ROM image you have up on your website. We'd certainly like to have you remove that if you could. If you have any questions, please call me at area code. That ROM image from the kernel is from the Xbox kernel, something we really wouldn't like to have you see on your website. So if you could either please give me a call. Also, feel free to send me an email. My email name is at xbox.com, and feel free to let me know when you've gotten that successfully removed. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's about 7:45 your time. What day is today? Today must be Tuesday, the 20th of November. Thanks.
As a grad student, Bunny's days were filled with mind-boggling equations and academic pursuits. But one day, his advisor tossed him a challenge to start thinking differently and question the why behind everything he did. Bunny embarked on a quest to discover what lay beyond the confines of academia. He was on a mission to explore, to understand, and to push the boundaries of technology. It was a journey of self-discovery, and he was about to uncover something that would change his life forever. In 2001, Bunny was still a graduate student at MIT. As a graduate student, it was the first time Bunny got to ask questions like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And what is the reason for doing it? That was the challenge Bunny's advisor put in front of him, encouraged to think that way in a more critical sense. He spent a lot of time just kind of self-exploring, searching for things to do, meeting people, getting a girlfriend, going to raves and parties and shit. A lot of these things he had not really touched before because he was just so focused on academics. So as part of Bunny's thesis work, he was interested in computer architecture, and his advisor was like, the most amazing thing is that we now have these big computers in these little boxes for like $100, which are video gaming machines. The advisor actually bought one of each of the latest generation video game consoles for his research group, but he bought them with no games. The point was that Bunny and his research group were supposed to get these devices and understand how they worked. And Bunny started taking stuff apart and figuring out how these things worked. And he casually thought it's just another PC inside, although it came in a small, compact box. So he did not really think about it. He had all the tools, he just pulled off the chip, dumped it, didn't even really look at it much, and then stuck it back on the board so he could boot the device again, confirmed the boot, and he just went to the movies.
Yeah, I remember it was just like, I think I was leaving a movie theater or something with my friends, and there's a voicemail on my phone. I was like, the heck is this? And then I was like, Microsoft, like, why, how did they get my number? Why are they calling me? Like, what's going on, right? And so then I was like, I don't know, just put the voicemail online too, along with the ROMs, right? And so I can explain to people what's going on and people would see what's happening, right?
Microsoft had just launched the Xbox, and they had this business model built around it. And part of it was getting people to buy genuine Xbox games. Microsoft is a huge corporation and they have experts in the industry working for them. There is no doubt Microsoft had done their own analysis and thought the Xbox hardware and software was very secure and did not assume someone would have done what Bunny did. And then when Microsoft found out Bunny modified the console, it broke part of their security assumption. Microsoft was polite and professional about the concern, according to Bunny. His intention was to share his findings so that other people in the community could participate and help and discover. Reverse engineering. It is like opening up Pandora's box. It is the process of dissecting a device or a system to understand how it works from the inside out. It is about uncovering the secrets and hidden functionalities that lie beneath the user interface and the visible hardware. By peeling back these layers, hackers can gain valuable insights about their target. Now, here's the twist. Innovative companies are not too thrilled about reverse engineering because when you have invested a considerable amount of time and resources and millions of dollars into creating a product, the last thing you want is some random dude taking it apart and exposing its secrets. Companies often see reverse engineering as a threat, a breach of their intellectual property. It is like sharing your secret recipe with the world. And oh boy, they will do whatever it takes to protect their creations. Bunny's work on the Xbox was groundbreaking at the time. He did not just tinker with the console, he tore it apart, dissected it, and understood its very core. And of course, he shared his findings with the world. That is how Microsoft found out about this in the first place. So what happened was Bunny pulled out the boot code out of the ROM, and that is when he got the call from Microsoft. But the thing is, the code was encrypted and had some fake records inside that made you think it was programmed to do one function. But it actually didn't do that thing. And nothing else worked if you tried to follow that out.
And so people were like, okay, obviously there must be something else going on. So either there was something inside this chip, or maybe the CPU itself, or maybe the Southbridge chip. And then I made a circuit board that had traces that lined right up to the wires underneath and tapped off those wires and then basically put them to a fancy recording device. And so all I did was I just did a simple window search and then look at one comes out, and if it was just white noise, then I knew it was wrong. And I'd move by one more byte and then try from that window, move. And then finally I got one hit where the statistics were no longer white noise. And sure enough, that was the alignment, that was the key. And then, essentially we had the real code inside the ROM.
During the reverse engineering process, Bunny's intention was to develop and install a modified Linux operating system on his Xbox. He used a variety of techniques like logic analysis, oscilloscopes, and debuggers. Bunny also studied some of the documentation and code of the Xbox that had been leaked online. Once Bunny had a good understanding of the Xbox hardware and software, he was able to develop a modified Linux bootloader. This bootloader allowed him to boot the Xbox from a custom disk, which he used to install the modified Linux operating system. Bunny's modified Linux operating system allowed him to run homebrew games and applications on his Xbox. This means hacking closed computer systems and opening them for other functions and producing homemade software for that platform. This practice was started by enthusiasts looking to stretch their technical muscles by hacking and successfully developing software for old game consoles that do not have any developer support and do not anymore have developer kits available. Gaming consoles such as the Atari 2600, Fairchild Channel F, and Nintendo Entertainment System were a few in the list. People became more popular with homebrew games and apps when the Homebrew channel was released to the popular Nintendo W2 console. The Homebrew channel, which was not created by or endorsed by Nintendo, allowed the W2 to play DVDs. The console was not originally designed to do this. It also allowed users to play games from other storage sources like USB drives, which meant that games could easily be pirated by simply copying the contents onto a USB drive and playing it on a Nintendo W2 running the Homebrew channel. Because of this, console manufacturers are putting more safeguards in their consoles that prevent the running of homebrew software, as well as threatening litigation for anyone who attempts to do so. Bunny's modified Linux operating system allowed him to use his Xbox as a media center software. So he was able to play music, watch movies, load photos on a TV screen. And this allowed the Xbox to run emulator software to play other games too. The fear Microsoft had was exactly about this. They feared people would mod the Xbox and then play copy games on it as opposed to mod the Xbox and turn it into a PC and unlock more functions. Bunny was able to pull this off by reverse engineering the Xbox successfully. When Bunny was on this discovery, he went to one of the faculty members at MIT. When Hal Abelson realized Bunny might be in trouble because the law behind this incident is blurry, he reached out to the respective authorities to clear the doubt. And they did not see that as any problem, but they knew what Bunny did could be clashing with various federal laws such as the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the DMCA for short. Section 1201A says about a law that makes it illegal to circumvent digital locks over copyrighted works, restricting users' ability to access, use, or discuss material that they own. Bunny was not trying to scam anybody. He was not trying to cause harm in any sort of way. It was good old academic research that worked out pretty well.
I remember after that call that was explained to me, I was like, you know what? I'm a grad student. I've got a crappy Toyota Corolla and $50 in the bank. You can shoot me in the head 1 billion times, but only the first bullet hurts. And so I was like, let's just go at it. Let's go public. And of course, with discussion with the lawyers, I was like, I think what we should do is not try to hide from the fact that I did it. Just tell it as it was. We're a research project. I wrote a paper, so I also wrote an actual report on it and submitted it to a conference, all that sort of stuff.
Bunny shared his findings, and his strategy surprisingly worked. This act of bravery flipped a switch on how the community viewed reverse engineering. Later on, around that time, people inside Microsoft thought, wait, what if we just actually listen to these guys who find vulnerabilities? We could definitely learn something. And so the response to Bunny's project was actually partially driven by some people internally who thought they shouldn't put Bunny in trouble. Instead, they should encourage the findings to come out and share with them so they can improve the future generations of Xbox and product lineups. Microsoft even invited Bunny to meet with their chief architect in person and talk about security for the next generation Xbox. Bunny had been taking devices apart and repaired or modified them all his life. At first, he didn't even understand how this even could be illegal. After Bunny hacked the Xbox in 2001, he published a detailed account of his methods in a book called Hacking the Xbox, an introduction to reverse engineering. The book was published in 2003 and was a groundbreaking work at the time. The book taught readers how to modify and hack the original Xbox console. It also served as an introduction to reverse engineering, the technique for understanding and manipulating the inner workings of hardware and software. Bunny's work was controversial at the time, as it challenged the prevailing belief that consumer electronics should be closed and proprietary systems. But he argued that consumers have the right to understand and modify the devices they own, and that reverse engineering is an essential tool for innovation. However, Microsoft argued that the Bunny's modified Xbox violated the DMCA, and Bunny argued his hack was protected by the First Amendment. In fact, he argued that he had the right to reverse engineer the Xbox for the purpose of developing non-infringing applications. Bunny also argued that the DMCA was unconstitutional because it infringed on free speech. In the end, Microsoft did not sue Bunny. However, the controversy surrounding Bunny's hack led to a number of changes in the way that consumer electronics devices are designed and marketed. For example, many companies now include warnings in their documentation that reverse engineering their devices may be illegal. Bunny's work on the Xbox had a significant impact on the hacker community and the open source hardware movement. He inspired a generation of hackers and makers to learn about reverse engineering and to build their own devices. He has also been a vocal advocate for consumers' right to repair and modify their devices. This story was a watershed moment in the history of hardware hacking. It showed that even the most complex consumer electronics devices could be reverse engineered and modified. It also inspired a generation of hackers and makers to learn about hardware hacking and to build their own devices. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you have any questions, thoughts, or ideas about this topic, or any topic you would like us to cover, please do let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter or join our Discord community. Links will be in the description. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and leave a rating on your podcast player or YouTube. It is the best way to show your support for the show, and it helps others discover the show. And it lets us know what you love and what we can improve on. If you subscribe, you won't miss our future episodes. We have got more exciting episodes coming up. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you in advance for your support, engagement, and enthusiasm. I'm going to leave you with last few words Bunny had to say, which I find encouraging and to be true. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Peace.
I want people to be in control of their life and their destiny. I feel people should have agency. There is no magic in this technology. I want people to remember that we can understand these things. And this is a recurring theme over and over again, but like the point at which you sort of say like, I'm just not going to understand this technology, it's too complicated. You've basically crossed the line into a religion, right? It's like, it's just faith. All these things we've talked about, agency of technology, education, and people knowing where things came from, this open source aspect of things. I'm trying to distill it all into products that I make. So I built my own laptop with Sean, and I'm now building this device called Precursor, also known as Be Trusted. And this thing sort of represents the academic high water bar of a you own it, you completely control it, you completely trust it device. The number one thing is that can a human being still know technology well enough to produce their own technology? Have we gone past the tipping point where it's no longer possible for us to even know what's in our devices because it's gotten too complex? I think I'm optimistic that technology will find its way into the right hands, I'm also realistic that there are limits to this, right? And there will be problems and we have to address them. We have to acknowledge that technology is dual use and bad things and bad people can do bad things with it. I prefer a semi-utopia where we have faith in the goodness of humans and we empower them and then we sort of regulate when it goes wrong, versus the semi-dystopia of we must make the decisions for you and protect you from yourself.